Hello and good day to all friends. This is Mojtaba Rosti from the Thales group, and today is December 26th, 2025. I'm here with a midterm outlook on the market situation, reviewing the January and February maturities. Of course, our main focus will be on the end of January. We'll also take a brief look at February to see what changes have occurred in the market's midterm outlook. All right, let's now proceed to thoroughly examine the market screener. As you can clearly observe, from the very beginning of December, specifically from the initial start of December, we can see a significant trend developing. We've taken the trades into account. Up until today, December 26th, for the January expiries, should I say expiries? We'll start with two important expiries in January based on trading volume. As you can see, one of them is the expiry on January 9th, which has had a relatively good volume since the beginning of December, and naturally, the expiry at the end of the month, January 30th, which has seen a very high volume. We'll start with a January 9th expiry, and as usual, we'll add the open interest in the database. All right, let's see what we've got. So, as you can see, the situation, an upward trend is visible in the curve for the trades that have been seen since the beginning of December. And the point about this upward movement is that it's currently happening, considering the current price position. We've already passed the gamma at 87, but there's still the upper intersection, the intersection of gamma and delta. That means the price could go up to around 92,300 and up to the end of the delta's upward phase, roughly speaking. Up to this point, before delta starts to curve, and its sensitivity to price changes drops significantly. On the downside, that's around 95 or 96, and that's about it. At most, here we can consider the intersection of gamma and the red curve at 98, which is basically the peak of delta. Actually, these can move the slider forward. You'll see, not much really changes. Lately, it becomes volatile. The initial curve is volatile, with its peak at 97 and its bottom actually at 82. Right now, we're at the peak profit of this curve. If we move forward, you'll see it becomes bullish again, a bullish trend, and we're currently at its peak. Take a look. The average sale of calls, with the price increase, we see a decrease in delta. And right now, the average sale of calls is from 88 to 800. We're holding on. If it keeps moving forward to the end of the delta, it could reach 93, or it could even go up to 95 or 96. So, as you can see, here again, there's a ceiling. Could we imagine a ceiling at 94, and maybe even lower? If we consider the intersection of gamma and delta, we could also imagine a ceiling around 97 or 98. These are the trades that have recently come in. Of course, the volume is really low, but there's also a gamma at 98. So we can assume that up until January 9th, we could have an upward movement. We'll probably see it, and maybe its start will be from the support we've just taken here. If we get past these early year holidays, it's possible that at the start of the year we'll see a bullish move upward toward 94 to 95, and that could just be the beginning. Let's take a look at January 30. But from now on, you can see we have a different perspective. For January 30, it actually seems like we have a more bearish outlook. We see two gammas in our chart. One gamma with its base at 78 to 76, which is very low. That is, the profit entry point for the red curve starts at 78. And we have another gamma at 113,000 on the upside. So look at the delta curve, see? We have a pause here, and we have a pause here. There's a spot around 88, which is where we are right now. Then, for example, from here up to 98, 99, or 100,000, that's a range. Here you can see that the delta slope has decreased, and then from 100,000 and above, it picks up again, up to 114. From below, it starts picking up from around 86 or 85. It's gone down towards 78, so somehow we're stuck somewhere in the middle here. Moving upward would push the curve into loss. It kind of suggests that the probability of moving downward might be higher. This is from the beginning of December. If we look ahead and pay attention to the recent trades, you can see that the curve might start to fluctuate here. If you look further ahead, here the curve takes on an upward trend. From December 20th, the curve starts to rise again. But now, you see, we've actually passed the end of this upward movement. So if we want to consider the end of the delta, it's almost 100,000, 98,000, 100,000. So do you see that the recent bullish sentiment is entering the market? Take a look. Right now, this is still present. This bullish outlook in recent trades still exists. Here it might even look a bit like a spread. Look again here in a way up to 100,000. For example, it saw a profit, and then the red candle stabilized, which actually means that here, as the price goes up, we have a decrease in delta. That is, we have call selling, and the average of these call sales is again around 97 or 98. Here, with a more bullish move, the appearance of the red curve, although delta ultimately only shows up to 97.8, and after that, the trading volume drops off significantly. Look, here with 539 bitcoins, it's really not much for these trades. These are trades from December 25th, which were entered yesterday. For the end of January, look, now we're on the gamma, and this could go up to... It could even go above 102 or 103. We need to let some more trades come in for the end of January so that we can confidently say, for example, that we're going to break through 94 to 95 and head strongly toward 100,000. But what it seems like, gradually, at least up until now, is that the trend has been downward. That's been the case since the beginning of December. Now it's giving way to a slightly more bullish outlook for the end of January. These recent trades are just entering the market, you see. They're really new, very fresh. We need to let them accumulate, but for the 9th of January. We can consider this move towards, say, 94,000 to 96,000 up until the 9th of January. Then we can judge whether, in fact, for the end of January, that bullish move. If that change happens, then just as you can see here, in this scenario, we could say that by the end of January, we might even be able to count on 105,000. But more trades need to be added. All right, that's it for the end of January. Let's take a quick look at February. As you can see, February is also the same way from the start. Basically, December and February. It's actually showing a downward trend, and a ceiling has been seen for it up to 98. Look at that. Of course, this ceiling could go up to 107,000, and the end of the delta year could even be considered up to 113,000. But on the downside, we have a lot of put buying, with the average going way down to around 60,000. We need to go back again. Let's look ahead and see if this outlook changes in the recent trades that have come in. Yes, you can see the outlook does change. Here, the view becomes more volatile. Here, the view becomes more volatile. The volatility ceiling is at 112,000, and the volatility floor is about 81,000, almost 81,000. Look, here again we have uncertainty. Recent trades for February push the ceiling up to 137, with peak profit at 110. So it seems like the outlook is gradually becoming more bullish. Let's go back and check January again to see how things look for the 2nd of January. Here, too, we don't have any bad trades. Yeah, this is also for the 2nd of January. Look, for the 2nd of January, which I think is, yeah, that's right, next Friday. The 2nd of January, look. We have a ceiling here at 105, with short gamma and long gamma at 82. Take a look. It's kind of down, actually. It's in debt, basically, so it has to pay this back. This keeps showing up in the analyses. Of course. Let's look at the early December trades and see if anything changes. Look, here at the end again. Oh, it's bullish again. It's bullish. So recent trades show that for the 2nd of January, it's also bullish. But right now, we're at the gamma point of this bullish move, and it could go up to 93.4. Yes, here too, but do you know what the story is? The thing is, right now we could also go down. We're standing right at the gamma point. Whether the price goes up toward 94 from here or comes down, look. Here again, our floor is 80, 81, and then it could go up toward 94. This is something that... Time. Newer trades need to come into this market, and it needs to become clear which direction we're likely to head. But as you can see, gradually this bearish outlook for early December, look, from here, you could say, from the December week, it's actually turned quite positive for the very early days of January. There's still a chance for a move downward here. The downward leg continues lower up to 80, gaining more depth. The upward move, you see, goes up to 95 here, up to 97. So for early January, you could say the outlook is bullish. It's dominant, but there's still a bit of a bearish leg in play. All right, let's go ahead and start from early January and increase the size. Let's see, higher, 50 Bitcoin, 100 Bitcoin. Let's keep going higher, 150 Bitcoin. Well, now it gets really small, 150 Bitcoin. Let's make it 100 Bitcoin. 43 is too much, okay? Let's carefully consider the more recent and relevant trades, the more recent and significant trades. Let's move forward. All right, pay attention. I'm considering the trades from here. From December 18th, look, this bottom that we saw in this downward move, here we came down to 84. From here, actually, December 18th, and here we had a relatively good move upward. Up to now, this bullish momentum has been maintained. From here, I considered the trades, 50 Bitcoin and above. Look, we have 20 trades of 50 Bitcoin or more, 20 trades in total, and the overall curve looks like this, with a ceiling here. 95,000 is seen as the call-sell ceiling, and on the other side, there's also there's a floor at 80 and 100,000. In fact, the floor is at 85,000. If 85 doesn't hold, put option purchases will be triggered for 80 and 100,000. So, let's see. Now, for January 2nd, such a ceiling has been observed. Let's check what strategies we have. Now, we don't have very large trades, but as for strategies, look, we have these. I think, you see, no, this isn't quite it. This is indeed it. No, this isn't quite it. This isn't really it. This isn't a viable strategy. Let's see if this is truly it. Yes, this is it. This one and this other one. This possibility of movement in both directions is below 88 on this side. 5 from this side, above 96, and we don't have any more. We don't have any more. Transactions. The most recent trades we've had, which were today, there were 2, both at 50. Bitcoin long call, 90,000 call options bought, totaling 100 Bitcoins. For above 90,000, the 100 Bitcoin positions we have are this one, and this one. We have 118. Well, again, you see all of our 100 Bitcoin positions are showing a ceiling at 90. The 100 Bitcoin positions are showing a ceiling at 92,000. Right now, 92 to 96 could be a ceiling that's been identified for us here. The last 100 Bitcoin position that entered the market was yesterday at 6 in the afternoon. Long put, 83. 100 Bitcoin, long put, 83. So a move downward is still constantly being seen by traders. Let's move on to our size. Let's go to the 50 Bitcoin positions. January 9th, above 50 Bitcoin is bullish. 50 Bitcoin to our upside. Actually, it's bullish, starting right from 18. Look, anything above 50 Bitcoin is completely bullish, and right now we're standing on our toes. We can go up to 93, 94, and at most up to 98, according to the strategies we have. For January 9th, again, it's this. The Davis Bitcoin short straddle. It's a short straddle with the ceiling at 95 and the floor at 82. Right now, we're at peak profit, and it's 100 Bitcoins. We haven't had any new trades that were actually entered yesterday or today, if you consider the volume. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10,000 Bitcoins, and it's completely bullish. Even 1,000 bitcoins is totally bullish. 94 and at most 98. This is also for 9th of January. Let's move on to the 30th of January. On the 30th of January, it's 50 bitcoins. If we consider it from the beginning, the volume is high. Let's go to 100 bitcoins. 100. And 50. From 226 to 26, it's 200 bitcoins and above, which you can see the curve shape. There's an upward trend for 200 bitcoins and above. You can see a bullish move in it. You can see a bottom at 82.5 here, a short gamma at 82.5, and the red curve starts to go into loss. So the 85 bottom is still under watch, and there's a gamma at 112,000. But here the buyer has to pay a premium. You can see the red curve has gone into loss. To maintain this position up to 113,000, you have to pay a premium, and at 123,000, it goes into profit. So for January 30th, there are large trades. Trades above 200 Bitcoin for January 30th are seeing an upward trend, and it's a pretty good rise too. So what do we have? The notable ones we have are 1,200 Bitcoin. Actually, all of these are new after December 25th. After December 25th. Sorry, not this one. December 1st. Sorry. Okay, on December 1st, 1,200 Bitcoin at a price of 112,000 were sold, with a ceiling of 112,000 for January 30th. It was entered on December 1st. Here, there are 1,200 Bitcoin. I think we've reviewed this strategy before, though not this exact strategy. Their numbers are the same, but both are long calls, one at 115, one at 118. Two long calls targeting 115 and 118 for the end of January. So that's another one. Now, as for the really big ones, here we have these again, which we've already reviewed before, a bullish spread targeting 2,000 Bitcoin at 130. At 130. That's a lot for January 30th. I don't know, but the midpoint of its profit is 120, 119, 120. This is the bullish situation. There was something that came in on December 4th, and after that, we haven't had any trades this big. The most recent trade that came in was today, December 26th. 200 Bitcoin long call at 90,000 for January 30th. Let's see again. A new strategy entered on December 19th. 400 Bitcoin. A short straddle with a ceiling at 100,000 and a floor at 80,000. We have this one too. It seems, yes, this is a risk reversal. Look, it starts making a profit above 103. On the other side, it's left room for volatility down to 70,000, meaning it's allowed for swings down to 70,000. It's created that possibility for itself so that with a very small but steady loss, it can fluctuate between 70,000 and 103,000, and above 103,000 it turns profitable. Of course, this strategy actually has 3 or 4 legs, it seems. Look, it has 1, 2, 3 legs. 3 legs. This isn't a risk reversal. I should have clarified this as well. It's like this. But again, it's almost the same as before. Almost the same. The difference is, if it moves towards 70, it becomes profitable, meaning it reaches a peak profit, and then if it comes back down, again, 132 and 70 are its critical points. All right? What else do we have here? We have this strategy, which I think we already reviewed before. And this one is also a multi-leg strategy, as you can see. It looks like the numbers are this one, this one, this one, and this one as well. Yes, it's an iron condor with a floor at 88. So right now, we're at the minimum profit for this trader. If it moves up toward 90, it's about 6. So we're at the minimum profit for this trader. If it goes up to 96 by the end of January, that's the total amount that could be gained. So, considering the current situation that Hannah Rasai has, it seems like we might be able to see an upward move. As you saw, even until January 2nd, we could still see it. Recent bullish trades have entered the market, and it seems that by mid-January, we could move toward 95 to 96,000. Basically, we could see a step-by-step upward movement. We're still seeing trades around 85,000 as well. But gradually, recent trades are entering the market with a bullish outlook. You've seen trades above 20,000 Bitcoin. Since the beginning of December, they've generally had a bullish outlook for the end of January. That's what they're saying. We need to let newer trades enter and move along with the trades ourselves. Moving forward, we should analyze things because based on what we've seen, a more bullish sentiment will likely dominate the market gradually. But I think by mid-January we can do it. We'll probably be around 95, 96, maybe even 98. Then we might see another correction, and by the end of January, we could move up again, maybe up to 105. For example, we might be able to see above 100, so it's worth considering this scenario. Thank you for your attention. I hope this has been helpful, and until the next analysis, goodbye.